Welcome to another episode of Maverick Mondays, and this is Kumar Singh from Design Analytics LLC. Well, the topic for today's Maverick Monday stems from an auto shop visit that I made last week. Right? It wasn't anything specific in terms of there wasn't anything wrong with the car, but it was just regular servicing of my car. But once you get into an auto workshop, you're sitting in the waiting area, if you like, observing people and kind of eavesdropping on some of the conversations. You learn a lot, not only in terms of human behavior, but about the business that you are sitting in, right? So it's very much evident that a majority of population kind of is looking for some form of population in the workshop, arriving in the workshop is looking for some form of troubleshooting, and in most of the cases there is some kind of warning flashing in the car, right? So for example, check engine light. And what I observed is that many of those, or most of them, they actually they try to do some searches online to understand those warning signs, but when they arrive at the shop, they do not have any additional layer of clue other than the warning sign, right? Now, fortunately, the auto workshop I was in was one of the good ones of, I would say, more towards the honest side of auto workshops and dealerships, right? But if you, from experience and from stories, you know that the stories of workshops conning people, right, selling services or parts that are not required abound, right? And one of the primary reasons is that many of these vehicles, other than the warning sign that's flashing, right, behind them, things are like the black box, right? Much like many people complain that there are algorithms and solutions, we don't know what's happening behind them, right? It's a similar case here, right? There's a check engine light, but then we do not know what could be the reasons driving that. Now, there are equipments, right, that you actually, when you plug them in a specific port called OBD port, right? Most of the cars after 1996, I think they have these OBD ports. So if you plug those equipments in the OBD port, they would actually kind of go through certain data that the car generates and stores and try to hone in basically on specific area, right? They are very expensive, and even if you can buy them, you have to be an expert in many other things, including the onboard, what we call the engine control unit, ECU, and things like that. So basically you have to be almost a mechanic to use them. So while I was thinking, driving back to my home after the servicing, I thought, what if, leveraging the power of cloud, a company could float a service where you can get more details into what's going on with your car, right? Now remember, for legal purposes also, and because of some other constraints, no company will be able to provide you the exact nature in terms of what's going wrong, because again, a human in the loop is definitely required. But I'm pretty sure many people would love to know more about okay, what's going on? Why do I have this check engine light before they go to a shop, right? Before they take their car to a shop, they would love to know more, but without spending a significant amount of money on a professional device or gadget, right? And that's where someone can come up with a service, right, like this. What is it? There is this small gadget that pairs with the app, right? Pairs with the app. One end, as you can see, the cord, it's USB-C and a OBD2 compatible plug-in that collects data, right? Shares data, collects data from the engine control unit, right? So, for example, you see the cycle here, right? And I'm kind of right now looking at my notes, basically, to refer to the cycle. So when you connect an OBD scanner, it basically taps into the engine control unit data there, right? ECU shares diagnostic codes basically, right? So based on those codes, you can figure out which system is affected, right? And not only that, but there's this freeze frame data, right, that also captures, okay, what was the temperature, RPM, and things like that when that specific error started flashing, check engine light flashing. So there are a plethora of data points, right? Now imagine an AI, right, which is tapping into basically the data that the app on the phone is collecting, transmitting to the cloud. So that becomes one of the data inputs, collecting all the data from the engine control unit. Right? This piece of gadget that goes into the OBD port does not have to be really complicated, because all it needs to do is collect the data, right? It does not need to do any diagnostic, it does not need to flash any codes, it does not need to have any screen at all, right? It will basically leverage the app on the phone. All the data goes to the cloud. The AI there is also trained on repair manuals, diagnostic flowcharts of some of the most commonly sold cars, right? So at this point, you are kind of getting the path, right? The path that I'm taking right now. So basically, it will allow any person using that app to gain a good understanding of what's going on. Okay, what are the some of the specific codes what that would have led to check engine light, what were some of the other parameters, like in terms of temperature, right, RPM, when the basically warning started flashing, right? The freeze frame data, what were the specifications of the data, the DTC codes, even real-time sensor reading while engine runs can be shared, right, using this. So you can run the engine. So there are quite a few data points that can be collected, because it's also app based. Maybe some pictures can be taken and uploaded, though I would say that will make the algorithm much more complex, right? In terms of now it has to basically take care of a visual part as well. But again, advanced versions can have it. But the gist here is, with this, I think there would be a demand for this, because majority of people, they feel kind of blind, and then it's human nature that even if something actually needs repair and we are quoted a decent amount for the repair, we may think that we are being conned. So I think it kind of works for repair shops as well, right? So it's not anything against the repair shops, it's just that it kind of validates their integrity as well, when the customer already knows that, okay, these are some of the few things that might be going on with my vehicle, and that could be the reason that the dealership is charging with that amount. And then you can top in service data aspects as well, based on capturing the miles and other data shared. This app can also recommend type of services, different things that need to be done. So for example, oh, you are 40,000 miles, you haven't done a coolant flushing, things like that. Well, that's the topic for today's Maverick Monday. Thanks a lot for watching. I will see you again tomorrow.